Hey everybody, Tekking here. Hope you're all having a great new year so far, guys. You know, I know we're only on day 2, so we still got like a little bit left. If you want a highlight reel for me so far, yesterday I spilt an entire bottle of Gatorade on myself at work, and today I slipped on some ice and fell face first into a snowbank while getting the mail. So, yeah, it's shipping out to be a fantastic voyage so far. If you've been watching me for about a year now, you'll remember last year around this time I did a video discussing the possibility of there being a water devil fruit. And that video was a lot of fun to make. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like a little bit of a, crazy idea, devil fruit abilities, their weakness is water, so there couldn't be a water devil fruit, but I looked at it and I thought it was possible, in certain circumstances. So, this time though, we're going to be looking at another possibility for a devil fruit, and this one is involving a liquid, although this one's going to be a little bit more, specific. Don't know why I chose to accentuate the word specific, but alright. Today we're going to be discussing the possibility of there being a blood devil fruit. This is vampire blood I have here, which is like a specific kind of blood, but, it's blood. You understand. Also, I feel like, due to YouTube's new policies and everything, I feel like this video might get demonetized, like, right out of the gate because I just put blood in the title, and that might, lend it to violence. But anybody reviewing this video and wanting to know, I'm talking about the possibility of a fictional magical fruit existing in a fictional world involving superhero pirates, the main character of which has the ability of a rubber band. So, it's cool. It's fine. It's not like I'm throwing a freaking corpse up on a vlog or something. It's cool, alright? So a few things. The first thing, though, for any Avatar The Last Airbender fans out there, and fans of Legend of Korra, whenever you see the title, Blood Devil Fruit, and me talking about it, probably you're already commenting, like, it's bloodbending from Legend of Korra or from Avatar. And I'm gonna be making references to that. I mean, I kind of have to. That series did a really good job of showcasing different powers you can have by manipulating the blood in like a human body, and it was kind of disturbing, so I'm gonna reference that, although I thought of some other stuff that Avatar didn't do that maybe could be incorporated into One Piece in some way, shape, or form. Certainly abilities with devil fruits work a little bit differently than bending, so I just wanted to throw that right out of the gate. We've seen some devil fruits that involve liquids in some way, like we know Karibo's Numa Numa fruit basically manipulates mud, so, and like sucks people into like this viscous fluid, into like this swamp body. Even Galdino's fruit, which is wax, but whenever wax is melted, it has like a consistency of water, kind of. Not really quite as, like that, but, sort of kind of similar, But nothing like this. So I thought it would be a cool ability, and there's two ways you can go about it. You could have it be a Logia, or you could have it be a Paramecia. I've actually thought of some interesting things you could do with it either way. I honestly think a blood fruit would work better as a Paramecia. Being a Logia, obviously, you would have the advantages of becoming the substance and being able to be immune to, like, physical damage and everything like that. But with Logia fruits, it just seems to be, like, the basic gist. Like, everybody has the same basic ability. Like, Crocodile can turn into sand, so if he's in a desert, then he's really strong. He can manipulate sand, he can dry people out. Smoker can turn into smoke, obviously, spread his body out, grab things at a distance and everything like that. But there doesn't seem to be, like, a tremendous amount of, like, diversity with it. With Paramecia, it really kind of opens up the door for a bunch of wacky things you can do with it. Like, for example, with, let's say, Caesar's gas fruit. And he can manipulate gases in the atmosphere and everything, and he has, like, his blue sword, and that's all cool. But at the same time, like, the human body, there's gases in the human body, like, right now. You didn't see Caesar, like, he could, like, manipulate the human, like, because he's, like, pulling on the gases inside of you, and he's messing around with that. We didn't see anything like that. So I feel like with Logia, with a blood fruit, he's like, okay, you can turn into blood. Maybe if you were, like, in direct contact with your opponent's blood, if you manage, like, if your opponent's bleeding and you creep up behind them and you grab them, you would be able to use them like a puppet, like, directly, or something like that. But at the end of the day, it would just probably come down to be, like, the same as any other liquid. But with a Paramecia, you could look into a lot of things. One of the most common ones with a Paramecia blood fruit is essentially blood bending from a distance, like an Avatar. avatar, being able to control people's blood from the inside of them and use them as puppets. Something else, though, that I thought would be even more kind of morbid, but something probably the reason why it wasn't in Avatar, because that was still, on Nickelodeon and everything like that, is if your opponent has a wound, like if they get cut and there's like a little wound, you can go beyond just using the blood in their body to move them. You could like suck out the blood, like basically like a vampire. And by the way, I should bring up that yes, there was a vampire devil fruit in the story already introduced, and you're right, there was. It was in one of the games. A guy by the name of Patrick Redfield had it, and it was the Bato Bato no Mi model vampire. It was a mythical zone, but that devil fruit was not the same as like it. It sounds really cool, I know, like holy crap, you could turn into a vampire, but it's not as vampiric as you might imagine. Like he has the ability to turn into like a large bat creature, which is cool. He does not actually suck blood, which is like the one thing you'd think a vampire devil fruit would give you. It's rather the ability to suck out someone's life force. And, you get claws and you get fangs and you can attack people and you can like cloak yourself. But there's really no manipulation of blood. It really doesn't seem like blood has anything to do with the vampire fruit, which is weird. But I felt like I should mention it. But hey, that's actually not a bad thing because this was a video game. And obviously Oda, he has to sign off on if these devil fruits are okay. Usually someone will go up to Oda and be like, hey, can we use this devil fruit idea? And Oda's like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and use that. I'm not gonna use that in the story. I'm saying it's possible. It might not have actually happened this way. I have no way of knowing, but it's possible someone could have went up to Oda and been like, hey, we're gonna do this devil fruit called the Bato Bato no Mi model vampire. It's gonna be turn the user into a vampire. And Oda could have been like, well, I already have something planned for like a blood fruit, like manipulation of blood, so you can do that, but you have to kind of downplay the blood relation. And so someone could have been like, oh, okay, well, we'll make it a life force instead. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, you can use that. That's obviously, I don't know, I'm just saying it's possible that the reason they didn't include Patrick Redfield manipulating blood specifically is because Oda plans on doing something with that later down the line. But I feel like I should have mentioned that. Right, so ability to manipulate blood in someone's body, suck blood out of them, either personally, like, kind of, I'm imagining the way it's done in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with, instead of, like, a vampire actually biting your neck and sucking it out like the traditional way, it's like Dio, like, slams his hand into you, like, somewhere in your body, and he could just suck out the blood, through his veins in his hands, and he gets it out that way, so it could be something kind of along those lines there. Also, blood has some very interesting properties to it. It has iron in it. It has platelets in your blood and stuff like that. So you can actually, technically speaking, and I've seen this done in other anime before, if you have complete dominance over blood, and of course this is manga, this is fantasy, you can maybe use the platelets to make blood a little bit more solid in form. So you can actually make like weapons out of it. Like, this is my blood sword. This is my blood shield. And, you add a little hockey on that and you're good to go. You're good to go. I could see this going down if you were a Logia or a Paramecia, either way. That's one of the things about this fruit, is it's not a straight-up liquid. Blood is, it drips like a liquid, but there's so many other interesting properties involving blood that you can do more stuff with it, even if you are a Logia, you couldn't just turn into it, you can make weapons out of it, possibly, depending on your level of control and how you can manipulate things in it, as well. It could also be used to save people. Like, you could perform, like, blood transfusions and stuff. So if you're, like, on a crew of people, and you have the blood fruit, and one of your crew members, gets cut or something, and they're losing blood, then you could use your ability to fucking, like, do a blood transference, or you can add blood to it or something like that, and keep them alive. So that would be a really good fruit to have. Maybe if you were a doctor or something, that would be very useful, not even from a combat perspective, just from, like, a support medical perspective there. If you yourself got injured, let's say it's not a Logia, let's say it's a Paramecia, and Paramecia, I was doing it, I think that's the way the 4Kids dub pronounce it, they add like a Y in it, like Paramecia. But if you were a Paramecia and you still got injured, someone takes out a big sword and like, brings it down in your left arm, and you like slices your left brachial artery or something, and just like, okay, normal human, you'd be bleeding out, you'd be dead in like 10 minutes if that thing was severed, alright? But if you have this blood fruit and you can actually like freely control the blood flow in your body, like you could psychically manipulate how your blood flows and everything like that. Like, let me draw you an example here. Let me I use my artistic skills. I'm not the best, but let me give it a shot. So like, let's say, you got your your artery here, nice little artery, got your blood flowing down the artery, your happy little blood cells flowing down the artery. And then let's say someone slices your artery, so now it resembles something like this. Normally the blood would like splurt out, but if you have psychic control, you could like, regardless of whether or not your artery is intact, you could just psychically control the blood to keep flowing, even though there's a big gap there. You could keep it inside, and like that's, I always thought that would be a neat ability to actually physically, psychically manipulate the blood in your body. Even if you get cut, the blood could just like keep flowing through the gap of your arteries or your veins. Like it wouldn't even matter at that point. So that would be cool as like a support. Like you could not die from blood loss because you could just kinetically keep all the blood inside of your body with your fruit. From a perspective of projectile attacks, it's still a liquid. If you used like a high pressurized, like here's a blood bullet or something. Now, you would still have like, if you're a Paramecia, you would still have like a limited amount of blood in your body. Like if you're a Logia, it's kind of out there, maybe you could turn into more blood than you would actually have, like for instance, Crocodile, he could turn into like a large amount of sand, even though there's no sand in your body, you can actually turn into sand, same thing with all the Logias, so it's like, yeah, if you were a blood Logia, you can make way more blood that's in the standard, and I think it's like, 4 quarts of blood in your body, something like, maybe 4 pints, quarts, same thing, but if you were a Paramecia, you would have like a limited amount to work with, so you would have to use blood from like another human being and shoot it like a bullet. Dead Man Wonderland, that's the manga I'm thinking of right now. I'm sitting here talking and I'm like, this sounds familiar, making blood into bullets and shooting it at people. Where have I heard this before? Dead Man Wonderland. It would be just like Dead Man Wonderland, except Dead Man Wonderland didn't last very long, and so we could see it again in One Piece because it would be fine. So you could use it as a projectile in that sense, make weapons with it and everything like that. Damn, this is sounding a lot like Dead Man Wonderland now that I made that connection up here. But whatever, it's fine. You make it different enough with One Piece. It doesn't necessarily, I mean, come on, it's anime or it's manga. How many manga characters have had the ability of ice manipulation before? That doesn't make Aokiji's ability any less cool. You get it, because it's ice, whatever. Okay, so yeah. There are some other stuff I thought you could maybe do with it, but the thing is, it's the amount of stuff you could actually get away with. The whole blood bending thing, like, that was Nickelodeon. You don't actually get to see any blood. It's like the human body, like, being possessed and moving around like a marionette. I could see somebody doing that in One Piece, turning your blood into a sword. I think that would be okay, because that would just look like a really badass red sword, red shield, red spear that you're throwing at people, red bullets and stuff. But when you start getting into things like I thought Blood Rain would be really cool. Not the movie for Tristana Loken. God, no, not that. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like I am a Paramecia, I'm a Logia, I'm gonna make it rain blood, and then covers the entire area. And you ever get like a bunch of blood drenched? Like, if I were to splash this in my face right now, I wouldn't be able to fight too well. I'd be like, oh, it burns! But I don't think that Shueisha would really go for that, or at least I don't think the anime would go for that. That would have to be a massive censor, because you figure, if you actually watch the anime recently, like there was the scene when Luffy and Nami were trapped in the jail cell in Big Mom's library. Luffy's like stretching out his arms, because he's nailed to the thing, and he's stretching out his arms so much they're they're breaking apart and they're splurting blood all over Nami's face, and she's like, ah! That was in the manga. In the anime, they had to censor that out, so there's no blood spurting all over the place. Yet they still have Nami's massive jubblies as she pops out. That's okay, but not a little blood splurting out of Luffy's arm. Like, okay, Toei, you have your priorities. I understand. Standards are S&P, I get it. So there definitely would be a limit to it from a censor perspective. Like, Oda couldn't do, let's do whole Friday the 13th, rated R, blood everywhere. Obviously wouldn't be able to do that, but I think in small amounts, take blood, turn it into a sword, take blood out of a human body, use it as like a puppet, blood bullets, things like that. As long as you keep the overall gore factor down, I think you'd be okay. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to see like a character that has the blood fruit walk out, and he's like, watch this, takes out a knife and like slices his arm open. It's like, oh my god! And then like blood comes out and it like forms like a spiked glove gauntlet, like, oh, bam! You know, like, obviously we wouldn't be able to see something that morbid, but I think it's certainly a possibility. I think it's something that's not been done in the story. I think it would make a good addition. I would personally prefer it as a Paramecia myself, but I could definitely see it working as a Logia. Either way, it would add to the table of very interesting devil fruit powers. Who would have it? I would either see an enemy of the Straw Hats having this, like the big enemy having an ability like this, a blood fruit, or like somebody on the crew, like a doctor kind of character, like Law or Chopper. I could also see them having this ability, and they were using the ability for good, using the ability to perform like blood transfusions really easy. And blood transfusions, that's already been something that's been established in One Piece. We've already seen that. We've already seen like the different kind of blood types that exist in the story, so it's possible that that might can maybe work. You know, because we've already have a precedent for it. So I don't know, but it's a video I've been wanting to make for a while, just discussing the possibilities of all these things you can do with it. Even though I was ripping off Dead Man Wonderland there halfway, you know, so you know, okay. Something else, just nostalgic that I should bring up is for the old school One Piece fans, for the ones that have been watching and reading for a long time, you might remember that before Akainu was properly introduced at Marineford, a big debate in the fan community was what was Akainu's devil fruit was going to be, and a lot of people thought it was going to be a blood devil fruit, and I remember reading a lot of theories about that because we knew Aokiji was the blue pheasant and he had the power of ice, we knew Kizaru was the yellow monkey and he had the power of light, so we figured, we knew Akainu's name, it was Red Dog, so we figured it's something based around the color red, and there were a lot of theories about magma and lava too, that was certainly around, but I remember reading my fair share of blood devil fruits, and I always thought it was an interesting concept. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about a blood devil fruit possibility? Would you like it to be a Logia or a Paramecia? Let me know below. Hope you guys continue to have a great new year. Yeah, so signing out. Some more videos are coming out soon. I'm going to be doing an Attack on Titan video coming out, as well as a drawing contest with One Piece. That'll be coming out within the next week, I want to say. I want to get that out. So all my artists out there, if you want to do some, you know, participate in this drawing contest and a chance to win a fabulous prize, then, you know, sit tight for that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking101 signing out. Later.